This was the first all-black women's unit in history. Right from the start, it became the center of media attention. In this country, black people had always faced brutal discrimination, so plenty of folks were just waiting for the unit to fail to laugh at them. They thought black people had no business fighting in wars, let alone believe these black women could ever earn any kind of combat honors. But the officer in charge of the women's battalion, she had huge hopes for this unit. She wanted to prove all the people who looked down on black folks wrong, make them eat their words. That's why she held the unit to insanely high standards, and their training was brutal, no shortcuts allowed. Nina, who'd been thin and weak since she was a kid, with lousy physical strength, got chewed out by the officer time and time again because of it. And every single one of those moments, Ross, who'd fallen head over heels for Nina the second he saw her, watched it all. But to Nina, Ross was just a stranger back then, because her heart still belonged to her boyfriend, who died fighting on the front lines. One day, they were doing a gas warfare drill. Two teams of women stood in a sealed room, waiting quietly for what came next. And then a smoke grenade got tossed in out of nowhere. Everyone scrambled to put on their masks fast. Everyone but Nina. Still stuck in her grief over losing her boyfriend, she was slower than everyone else, like she was in a fog. Finally, she couldn't take the smoke anymore. She bolted right out of the sealed room. The reporters who'd been hanging around to cover the unit, they swarmed her instantly, snapping photos like crazy. They knew a bad story when they saw one. The officer, furious, yelled at Nina to get back in the room. She couldn't let Nina's mistake be the reason the whole unit got mocked by white people. Nina collapsed onto the ground, listening to the officer's scolding, drowned in guilt and shame. She wanted to be strong, wanted to be brave, wanted to get to the front lines and be a real soldier, but no matter how hard she tried, she kept falling short. In a daze, she thought she saw her dead boyfriend, standing right next to the officer. He looked at her with so much love in his eyes, urging her to stand up, to believe in herself. With that encouragement, she put her mask back on and walked right back into the room, no hesitation. What Nina didn't see coming, though, after she'd fought tooth and nail, after months of working with her teammates to get through in every training module, they never got orders to head to the front lines. It was obvious. The white-run government still hated black people, still saw them as less. To get that chance, to go to the front, to prove black people's worth, the female officer went straight to the white commanding officer, begging to put in a request for her unit to deploy. But the white officer just told her to go back and wait for news. Then he brushed her off, saying he had an important meeting, and kicked her out of his office.